Oh boy.
Hey, birds, get off the truck!
There he goes.
After I thawed out, Dad picked me up and we headed over to campground where we met Ron, our bulldozer man, and we went over a few things that need to be done to the field.
And I mean, there's nothing to do with you here, but this front little piece, there's like 3 acres. It's that clay hard crap.
Now that coffee and donuts were out of the way, it was time to get back to work. We started by filling Ronnie, and then we headed off to the cemetery.
Sometimes doing the cleanup almost takes as long as doing the grave, but you just want to make things look nice. Get the dirt back away from everything.
The truckers weren't playing games today. As soon as we got back, Denny was ready to fill, and in the middle of it, Ronnie rolled in. It's been about 20 hours of work since I last seen you guys. I'm getting really tired of sitting in front of this thing. In case you're wondering what a 24-year-old can do in 20 hours, you're looking at it. I got this video edited. I made the $20,000 payment on the combine. And then after that, I had to take a test so I'm allowed to legally purchase chemicals.
Hey, I passed.
Oh yeah, and I made a Raycon integration. Check this out. All right, guys, with Christmas rolling right around the corner, I'm excited to announce today's video is sponsored by Raycon. Do you like doing things hands-free? And do you like doing things wirelessly? I got the thing for you. These bad boys are Raycon's premium wireless earbuds. They go inside your ears. You can't see them. And my favorite thing about them, they stay in your ears. I'm not talking about the kind of stay in your ear like your Aunt Sharon singing happy birthday to ya. These bad boys are crystal clear, incredible audio that sound nice. So whether I'm doing a workout, I'm working on something, I'm getting ready to take a nap, they sound awesome, they look awesome, and they feel awesome. You know that one person on your Christmas list who you just have absolutely no idea what to get them, or everyone's asking you what you want for Christmas and you don't know? Well, I have good news. These bad boys start at half the price of other premium audio brands. And to make it that much better, they have 5 stylish colors you can choose from. They have free shipping, free returns, so it just makes gifting that much easier. Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/ColdTheCornstar and use code HOLIDAY to get 15% off site-wide. And then for the better part of the last 2 days, I have been crafting a really long email.
Exactly 1 year and 2 days ago to today, I sat down in the office and I signed the contract to build this bin site.
If you're not familiar with construction projects, basically, once we sign our letter of intent, then we have to come up with a down payment, and that basically gets the ball rolling, gets everything ordered, and then once we get physical delivery, then we have another check that we have to write. Then after that, all the construction stuff, as progress goes along, we kind of pay as we go.
We are now at the point where we are ready to pay our final payment.
But here's the thing. We need to make sure that all of the contracted work is completely done before we pay the rest of the money, because once we pay that money, it's gonna be about impossible to get a contractor to come back out here to finish up their job. This is where it gets to the email. I've been making a big old list of everything that's not done yet.
As of right now, I found 19 things that are on our contract that are not done yet.
When we purchased these bins, we went to a bin dealer, and he acted as a general contractor for the entire project. So he was the one who put together all the subcontractors, so all the people for the concrete, the bin construction, all the millwright stuff, all of that. He's the one who took care of it. He also took care of the design aspect.
The only things in this bin site that the general contractor did not design was our dryer shack, as well as the hopper bottom bin, because that was already built.
I don't really know how to say this other than to say this, but we're having some serious safety and longevity concerns about the structures on our bin site.
It has to do with these support towers, the catwalk, and how it connects to the leg.
So if you're not familiar with the grain industry, there is this massive company called AGI, and they own like 50 different companies throughout all different aspects of grain, from augers to bins to structures, towers, just a bunch of stuff. And I wanted our bin site to be a full AGI bin site.
Now, since we wanted to have AGI products, I went to an AGI dealer. So I assumed I was getting all AGI stuff.
But I assumed wrong.
The contract said things like 54-inch wide by 84-foot long catwalk for York model DS 1260 or whatever this is. So I just assumed that the catwalks were also AGI because it was for this. It also said that we were going to be getting two 66-foot two-leg towers. Once again, I'm at an AGI dealer, so I just assume they're going to be AGI products. Come to find out, they were not AGI products. They were made at a local fabricator shop about 45 minutes down the road. And they did the same thing with the pit. Except for this one, they actually gave it a name, they gave it a serial number and everything. It looked very professional. Me being naive, I guess, I just assumed Rockwell was owned by AGI. Come to find out, Rockwell was the name of the fabricator who, yeah. I do take full responsibility for this mistake on my end, because at the end of the day, I was the one who signed the contract. I approved it with my signature. I should have done more due diligence and research on things, but I just assumed, I went to an AGI dealer, I was going to be getting AGI stuff. And don't get me wrong, just because it was made in a fabricator shop doesn't mean it can't be good. But what I'm more concerned about is the design applications that were put into place. We're questioning if they're up to spec. Our concern is these bend lids are a jam nut to a metal ring on the inside. There's 4 of these bolts all the way around there. That's the only thing holding that lid on to the top of the bend. Is that enough to keep these catwalks on top of the bends in 70-mile-an-hour winds? I don't know. Are these support towers that are welded right up in there to these bolt heads to hold that piece of metal plating on there that ends up supporting the whole X-brace? Does that meet an AGI spec tower standard? Does this plate that have these 2 little bolts that are smaller than my finger and no bolts on that side, plus being a pretty thin plate and has 1 weld, literally 1 weld, holding that up when I look in the bottom of there, and it's not even sitting on the ground, so all of the down pressure weight is on that 1 weld, plus this X-brace of webbing that is held together by rosette welds that are on the ends of these bolts. Does that meet an AGI tower's anchoring standard? And then on the other bend, got the same thing going on here with the 2 bolts on that end, none on the other. This one's got an even bigger gap underneath on where this tube does not touch. Does the fact that we have a 40-foot stick and a 20-foot stick that touch each other tip to tip, and then we just have an 8-inch band clamp that's stitched welded around the ends, is 4 inches of one tube with 4 inches of another tube, enough to hold that inside of there? I don't know. Is it okay that this leg and that leg are leaning that way? And then up here on the leg, this is where the catwalk connects to the leg. We're about 65 feet off the ground right now. This is our leg tower, and it's designed where it has a post on each corner, and they're 12 feet apart from each other. And so this structure here is welded to the outside of these posts, and it's the structure that supports the catwalk. And from my understanding, leg towers are designed for very specific purposes. So I just want to make sure that our particular tower is designed to have all this weight out on the outside of it. In my eyes, this doesn't look right, but it doesn't really matter what I think, because for all I know, this could be overkill. So back to that email that took me 2 years to write. I found 19 things that are not yet done with the bend site that are on our original contract, and I also notified the contractor that I want as-built stamped drawings from a structural engineer registered in the state of Iowa that everything here is safe and that it's built up to the standard that it's supposed to be. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions on this stuff because I've done that in the past, and it turns out I've been wrong on some things I thought I was right on. So we're just going to let the professionals take care of this stuff. Hopefully we shouldn't have any problems, because a structural engineer should have been the one to design this in the first place, so they should have everything already ready and available. But we're just going to wait and see. Now, as for the 19 other things that are not done, first off, our conveyors that bring the grain between bend to bend on top, they're supposed to be 8,000 bushels an hour, and when they were originally designed, they were supposed to be flat. However, once they got building them, they said, well, flat's not going to work. We have to put a pitch on them. And so last time we did a speed test, it took 21 minutes to do 1,000 bushels, so that's just over 3,000 bushels an hour. They ended up switching pulleys out on them and sped them up a little bit, but we need to do a speed test because we bought 8,000 bushel per hour conveyors, so I'd like them to be at least close to that. So we still need to test the speed on those, and then the one that goes from the leg to the overhead bend, that one has never been ran yet, so we need to run it, check for squeaks, make sure everything is working how it's supposed to, and then we also need to do a capacity test on that one, because same thing, we want 8,000 bushels an hour or close to it. Underneath the overhead loadout, there's a rack and pinion that goes to a chain wheel on the end. except right now there's only a wheel over there. We need the chain so it hangs down to this platform. The pit also still has some capacity issues with it. In a nutshell, we have a 900 bushel pit. Semi holds about 1,000 bushels. Takes 5.5 minutes before we can drive a semi off of here to get it out. So there's a little modifying that needs to be done in the bottom of this to redirect the flow of the grain a little bit differently. This auger is the one that goes to the bottom of the pit, and they have this jack on here, and it's connected to this pipe. That pipe goes all the way to the bottom of the pit, and it opens and closes the slide gate down there so you can control the flow. My only concern with this is right now, there's just a bunch of duct tape stuffed up in there. So, I mean, I don't want water and dust and who knows what else to get down in there because it'll seize this thing up and then in the end, you won't ever be able to adjust this slide gate. So I'd like something a little more permanent over that. I guess they could have 18 things on the list now because they just got these cables done, or at least I think they're done, but they run all the way to the top. And then you can turn these handles here to divert which way the grain's going to go from the distributor on the top of the leg. Looks like we still got some guards off here on the bottom of our smaller leg. We're underneath the hopper bottom bin right now. This bottom cone thing is going to come off, and then there's going to be a two-way distributor right here, and augers are going to connect into it. So one of them is going to go from the bottom of this over to our 8,000 bushel per hour leg, but the other side is going to go over here to our drive. The bin guys still got to get the two-way distributor set up, and then they also have to build and set the auger that goes from the two-way distributor to the 8,000 bushel per hour leg, so all the spouting that connects it to the leg and stuff, and then also the auger that goes from the two-way distributor over to our dryer. And speaking of dryer, they're supposed to be pulling that over here and get that set up as well. Now, I apologize for it being dark back here, but the original plan, we were supposed to have a drag conveyor that went from this dark spot of the bin over to our legs. And so since we ended up changing how we were going to be emptying the bins by moving our unloading augers on this side of the bin, that way we can have a big conveyor over here, we had a 44-foot drag conveyor on order. I guess it's sitting over there right now. But on contract, that 44-foot drag conveyor is supposed to be put together. And when we ended up changing our reclaim plans for the corn to empty these bins, it's actually going to come right through here, and it's going to come underneath of the dryer, and then it's going to take a hard 90-degree left right up to the leg. So then basically our dryer that's going to be sitting here, it's going to be able to dump into that reclaim. So it's going to be dual purpose. It'll take out the corn from those bins right through here and then up into that. But then when we're not taking corn out of those bins and we're drying wet corn out of the hopper bottom bin, then that corn can fall also into that reclaim and be brought up to there. But now from here to the leg, that I don't know how well you guys can see, it's more than 44 feet. We're gonna need an extension on that conveyor, so we have to pay for the extra for the extension stuff, but I'd still like my 44 foot that was contracted to be put together So we still gotta kind of figure out our best approach going around that. So this is our east bend. This is the one that we have the AGI SureTrack in right now. We're missing an incline power head coming out of this, and it's also missing the motor that goes on it, as well as the cables that hold it up to the side of the bin. This is what it'll look like when it's done, except for this one has a 25 horsepower motor on it that we're borrowing right now because the 20s that we ordered, I guess, haven't came in yet. So we're supposed to get a different motor on this one, but this one is missing the cables that hold it from here up to the bin. So right now, we're currently balancing on pallets. Oh, I almost forgot. This side draw right here is 11 feet 4 inches off the ground. Standard's like 13.5 feet. So it's really close to semis, and we've had short trucks in here. So if we get a taller truck, I'm not sure it's gonna fit under that. So we need to figure out some way, shape, or form where we can get that up a bit so that way no truck accidentally bonks it. For the most part, that's the outside stuff. Inside the dryer shack here, you guys haven't seen in here for a little bit. Doesn't look a whole lot different. We've had a gentleman out here working on doing all the drywall stuff, and I guess he's just been not healthy lately. So it's been a little slow going for him. He's been working on it since the middle of September, actually. But he says he's really close to being able to texture everything now. So once he gets it textured, then he's also gonna do the painting. Still got some drywall, it looks like, that needs to be cut off around these windows. The big one's also got the same thing on the top, but that won't take him very long to do. We got a couch, it's gonna go over here. We'll have a nice table of some sort. And then this wall is actually gonna be the kitchen. So we're gonna have a fridge, a sink, a stove. We'll have cabinets and stuff over the top. This is gonna be a door, like
the exact same door that's right here. So like an outside ceiling door with a good sill on it and stuff that you can also shut the shade on. It's kind of cool. But that's gonna be going here. So that way, if we're ever outside and there's a whole bunch of dust and everything blowing, whipping through here, you come in here, you shut this door, now we have an airlock, and then all that dust isn't flowing into the eating area and stuff. And then it also allows us to lock this door and make it not as easy to get into here. This is the bathroom. Also, there's gonna be a door here. But these red lines coming in, they're gonna be going to the hot water heater. That's gonna be sitting in this corner. That's actually currently sitting in the big machine shed. And then these blue lines coming out. This is where the shower is gonna be. Toilet's gonna be over there in that corner. You can see our water line coming in. And then we're gonna have sink and stuff there. Turn the lights on from here, maybe?
And then guess who decided to show up?
Ronnie. I'm really curious to hear everyone's opinion on this because I've never experienced anything like this before in my life, and it's not like there's a manual on, hey, if this happens, you should do this. So in my eyes, I feel like this is the thing we should be doing, but I'd love to know your guys' opinion, and if anyone has any other opinions on what you think I should do, if you have some better ideas. I know there's a lot of you guys who are way smarter than me, so I'd really like to hear it, but that is all I have for today. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.